Hello, hello. This is your standard reminder that this video is an extract from our Game Week 8 podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe if you find it useful. Thanks. So XGXA, Jack. Now,
Yes.
for the people that haven't listened before, or maybe just want this retold, what do we do with our XG and XA top performer review?
Yeah, really simple. All we're going to do is take the top 5 players for XG, so expected goals, and top 5 for expected assists through this season so far. We've come to a point, though, where we're 7 games in. We had a little chat before the pod, Josh, didn't we? And debate was, do we take the top 5 for the whole season so far? So for the 7 games, and do we keep that going? So for 8 games, 9 games, 10 games? Or would it be more useful to trim that down a bit and say, right, the last 5 games that have gone, who are the top 5? Because that gives you a better indication on form, I would say, and more, therefore is more useful for our immediate plans. So we took the decision to go with the 5, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, and here we are now. So let's go through the top 5 players for XG in the last 5 game weeks. So these are the red hot boys that are banging in the goals, or at least getting in the positions where they should be scoring goals. Josh, who is number 5 for XG? Who's the 5th best player for XG over the last 5 weeks?
It's the fan favourite, and my favourite, only joking, it's Sadio Mane.
Sadio, he's still hanging in there. He's hanging in there, the top 5. He's been in that top 5 since that explosive performance against Leeds. Scored again this week. Josh, you're our resident Liverpool expert. How are you feeling about Mane, Liverpool generally, FPL-wise? What are you thinking?
Well, if you've been listening week in, week out, which I know you all have been, I've been bouncing back and forth about with Mane, and I think that kind of tells the story in itself. He is hot and cold. There'll be games where Liverpool play really well and he will inevitably get chances. And he is playing in a very attacking team where he will get chances as well. But he still looks like maybe not the worst, but the least dangerous of the front 3 for Liverpool, I would say. He had a very good opportunity and took his goal very well against City. A lot of the hard work, you would say, or majority of the hard work, was done by Salah there, breaking up the defense and sliding the ball through. Great run from him from out to in, round Diaz, I think it was, who saw him late. But he basically, after his run, Salah just gave him a ball where he basically had a one-on-one and just had to slot it into the bottom corner. So he did have the best XG of any Liverpool player this week just gone against City. I guess what I would say is he is, of course, still a very good pick, but Salah is by far the better option. And if you want to double up on Liverpool, then maybe, he is now your best option with Bobby Firmino back in against taking minutes away from Jota. But I'm still not convinced that he's worth his price tag. But I'm here to be proven wrong, and so far I think I may have done so. What do you think? Are you proving me wrong? Prove me wrong.
Am I proving you wrong? I don't know, really. Mane's the kind of mental gymnastics I jump around with Mane always every year is, if he wasn't on Liverpool's team, would we look at him in a better light? Is it just because he's there with Salah, we compare them a bit too much? Whereas if he was doing exactly what he was doing for a Spurs or a Chelsea or whoever, would we say, yeah, Mane's their main man, Salah's Liverpool's main man, but Mane is the other main man, like we do with Bruno? And yeah, this year I think he's good. I wish I was a Salah Mane starter game week 1, and of course bottled it when Mane did nothing and Bruno got the hat trick, so got rid of him. But actually, if I'd stuck with Mane, I'd have more points now than Bruno, I think, or just about. It's very close anyway. But so either way, that was probably a wasted transfer from my perspective. But yeah, I don't think he's a bad pick at all, really. And it's the only thing. It's a bit of a theme with some of these players, and it will be that the price is what matters. I think we're beyond the issue of taking up a Liverpool slot, like you said. I don't think Jota's viable now that Firmino's back, and he hasn't really done that well, has he? In Firmino's absence, he's done okay, but not well enough to make me think that rotation isn't coming there. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, entirely. So you'd say in the team that has the highest XG in the league. I'm not going to say put anyone up there and they'll score goals, but he's a very good goal scorer, and so he's maybe delivered what you would expect. But there have been parts of his game where you would have wanted him to play a little bit better, and I think Firmino, is such a good facilitator for Mane and Salah, and he has that kind of off the ball part of his game, the press, which makes a massive difference. So I think, Jota, although he's done very well, he hasn't done enough to keep Firmino permanently out of that team.
No, the standards are so high in that team. I mean, he's got 2.2 XG and 1.59 XGA in the last 5 games, Jota, which is very good. It's still top 10 in the league, but that team expects more, I think. And I think Klopp will expect even more, as their defense isn't quite what it used to be, I don't think. So they're going to need to rely on goals. I think they really relied on bits of individual brilliance in that Man City game, and a bit of luck from the ref, I have to say it. I mean, Milner should have been sent off, really.
For sure.
But the Salah was just, and we'll come on to Salah, but oh my Lord, what a player, what a goal. So yeah, Mane, I don't think he's a bad pick at all. And if you've got him, you should be happy. If you've managed to craft your team with him in it, then I don't think he's a bad one to have at all. I think he's a much better asset this year than he was last year so far. Fair way to end on Mane.
Yeah, happy with that.
Yeah. There you go, Mane. Well done, Sadio. Happy for you. Moving on, Josh. Who's in the number 4th spot?
Number 4 is Mikel Antonio. So I'll let you start with this one, Jack. What are you thinking? I mean, we've both got him. What's the message you're sending to everyone? Keep him, love him, hold him tight.
Yeah, those things really. I mean, he's been an ever-present in the top 5 for XG. I think he was top last week, I believe. Yeah, so last week although last week, to be fair, we did do the top. We've done every single game, so the first 6 games. So, and game week 1, he obviously did very well. So this is the last 5 games, including the one that he missed. So he's still in the top 5, including the one where he got sent off and the one he missed. So it just shows how good he is. Bit of a quieter game for him this week, I think. I think his XA this week was actually very good, which shows that he's not the selfish goal scorer that a lot of the players are in the top XG. He does provide for others also. And yeah, his numbers are up there with the premiums. He's not a premium price. He's as much of a no-brainer as it comes still for me. I'd say regardless of fixtures for West Ham, they're a decent side. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you pointed out there's only been 2 blanks for him. One was the red card game. Obviously, then he had the suspension. And then this week against the Brentford team, who are looking better and better. So I think you look at how he's done in the 7 game week so far. It's been electric, 3 double-digit hauls. I think at his price point, it's a very much hold until we're told otherwise or shown otherwise.
Yeah, he's still the top overall XG for the whole season so far. So for the 7 games, I mean, 5 goals, 3 assists, only bettered by Mo. Yeah, he's elite. He's elite stuff. And West Ham, and I think he's fixture proof. I'm going to say it. I think every team would fear playing him, and he's capable of getting goals, isn't he, against every team? What are West Ham's fixtures like? Are they
kind of mixed now? So they've got Everton away, Spurs at home, guaranteed win. Villa away,
there's a guaranteed
home,
win.
Guaranteed win. Yeah. Liverpool at home. So it's kind of nothing
not
too
the
easy
easiest. Yeah, but you could see West Ham. It wouldn't be surprised if he scored against any of those teams, would it? Really?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd be interested to see how West Ham as a team, whether their form is kind of maybe fizzling a little bit. And that would maybe affect the output. And for people who maybe are doubling up on West Ham, that would obviously answer that question. But him as an asset individually, you've got to hold on to him. You've got to keep him going until we're shown otherwise again.
Yeah, people did predict it a bit when Europe kicked in, didn't they? And wondered if they'd have the squad to cope with it. That Europa League really does take its toll a bit, I think, as the weeks roll on. Being as it's still early and Antonio's fit, keep him and he should do well for you. So that's Antonio. Who's in number 3, Josh?
Well, he's having a party. It's Jamie Vardy. And we were kind of not dismissive of him, I'd say.
I was. Now. I think I was dismissive.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we were. Maybe
we still will be.
Yeah, well, yes. I think maybe despite this great XG and the fact that he is joint top goal scorer with Mo Salah, I mean, I'm still thinking that his price and the fact that, he's playing for for a Leicester team that I'm still waiting to see them reach the heights, maybe, or have the confidence in them that they'll do as well as last season. I'm hesitant, Jack. Why am I hesitant?
I think you're hesitant because of two things, and you touched on one of them there, being Leicester as a whole just not performing at all. It didn't surprise me at all. I thought Palace would win that game, and it didn't surprise me at all when they came back from 2-0 down. Leicester just have it. I think they've been bottling it year on year in terms of the top four. I think that lack of self-belief in themselves has sort of distilled in them now, and it's not. They don't look like they think they can win games and do well. I think they're flames of seasons gone by. So your Madisons and your Barneses aren't shining as brightly now, and I'm not sure they've really replaced them that well, I'm afraid to say. But this is about Jamie Vardy, and no one knows where the goal is as well as him, do they? So I think the other reason you're hesitating is that price point. And we said it last week, 10 point.
Vardy's 10.4.
That's at 10.4, which is not, it's a hideous price, really.
Terrible price.
Because what are you doing? You drop, it's not far away from Lukaku, although he's been a letdown. But it isn't that far from Lukaku, is it? It's a mil away. And it's far more than your Antonios and your Bamfords, your Ings, and all the other strikers. So he's suffering really from sitting there. But should we just spend the extra money and get him?
I'm a no at the moment. I'm waiting to be proven wrong. He will score goals throughout the season. I just don't think he will score as many goals as the people that he will be compared to for his price point.
His XG is low as well. It's not like he's contributing really in other ways. It's actually lower for the last 5 than it has been across the season on average. So he's such a lethal finisher, but I'll wait till Leicester pick up. If they string a few wins together and he's still scoring, I'm waiting for that team to kick in now. And Iheanacho started, didn't he, at the weekend? So I wonder if, I don't think he's completely immune to rotation at his age when they've got Daka and Iheanacho in the wings, So I do agree. Don't sell him if you have him, but I wouldn't tear up your team to get him in.
Yeah, watch list.
Sure.
Next, number 2 then. We're done with Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Number 2, Jack. Who is that? It's a big name.
Well, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm surprised to see him still so high up in here. 3.56 for the last 5 games. You don't own him, Josh. You wildcarded, but you opted to not get him. What was your thinking behind that? Do you regret it?
I don't regret it, obviously, after this week seeing him benched, which has answered some questions that people have had as to his age. How is he going to be managed this year? Maybe Ollie's been taught a lesson this week, but I think even though he didn't start, obviously he's brought in kind of for 30 minutes odd when they were winning. So I think it kind of shows he's going to be playing a part in most games, isn't he? Whether he's starting from the bench or starting in the lineup right from the beginning. But I think the bigger question at the moment is Manchester United as a team. And when we compare him to who else, up front, you've got Jamie Vardy, top goal scorer at the moment, as you said, who probably should be thrown in the mix to consider how you spend that, 10 million or 10 million plus change plus, or Ronaldo's 12 million plus change. And then you go against Lukaku. So I know he blanked this week, but he had some great opportunities, probably should have got an assist, should have scored the goal when he came off the post. He was stood right behind Timo when Timo scored. Could have quite easily, put that away if Timo hadn't made the run, or if the ball from Aspie had a little bit more pace on it. So for Ronaldo, he will score points, but I think money at the moment is better spent elsewhere. What do you think for CR7?
Yeah, I think that this is going to sound crazy, but there's not a lot of difference between him and Jamie Vardy in terms of their FPL viability and the issues surrounding them. So no one's doubting their goal scoring ability, proven track record. They're in a team that's struggling to convince us. So their team's struggling to convince us. They're expensive in FPL, and they're a potential slight rotation risk now. So I think Ronaldo and Vardy have all of those things in common, which go against the viability of getting them in your team, really. Ronaldo's the flashier one, obviously, but for me, they have equal appeal to me now. Obviously, this week they played on the Wednesday and then they got the early kickoff on the Saturday, which is harsh, and they shouldn't do that to teams. I don't think the Prem, they need to sort that out. And maybe that's the only reason he was benched. But equally, I think you've got, Cavani breathing down your neck, another world-class striker, really, in his own right. You're going to have to play Cavani sometimes. Yeah, I'm not scared of not having him again. I'm glad I've never had him, really. When he started scoring initially, I was very scared. But my gut feeling, I think, might be right on Ronaldo in that he's not going to be worth the 12.5 for those reasons. And the fixtures are not looking good either.
No, they've got some tough fixtures coming up, which I know we talk about these players being fixture proof, but in terms of the team's form, a run of some nice fixtures might be able to play themselves back in, but they're going to have some tough tests, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, yeah, Leicester next week. Well, Ronaldo versus Vardy next week will be interesting, and then it's
Liverpool at home.
Liverpool at home. I can't see them doing any damage there.
Spurs then City.
Spurs, who just won, and then Man City. I mean, yeah, don't buy Ronaldo now. If there's ever a time not to buy him, it's now. I think we'd see more people selling him if Lukaku was doing the business, but he's not, is he? Annoyingly for us. And I'm just looking now, amazingly, the last 5 game weeks, he's 16th for XG. He's below Timo Werner, incredibly, for XG in 5 appearances, same as Timo Werner. And he's got more minutes than him. Insane. What's happened to Lukaku, Josh? I know he's not in this list, but should we be worried about Lukaku?
I think one of the criticisms I've heard about him and his potential points, maybe since he's been blanking, or maybe a reason why he's been blanking so much, is he seems a bit hesitant in his kind of build-up play. He's not being quite as good with his movement, and they're not using him in the same way that it was when he first came in, like using him right through the middle and linking him in with everything. I think he is a player that craves on touches, isn't he? Like, he needs to be involved. And there's been parts of games, chunks of games, where he's just not getting it because he's being standing up there saying, give me the ball. He's got one guy right on him and another defender kind of waiting to snatch the ball into his feet. So, and maybe that's why, these other attackers around him, like Timo, are thriving a little bit because, he's taken the focus off them, but not so good for Lukaku owners. But I would go back to the point again that there's 3 scenarios come to mind from the game on the weekend where he could have cashed in points. And that's that kind of that variance part, isn't it? Like, it could have quite easily on another day could have got 2 goals and an assist. Like, that's how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm surprised the XG is so low actually after that, because there have been games I remember. I mean, that City miss at the weekend was that was almost a 1.0 XG. I mean, how he hit the post, I don't know. But yeah, there was the game. I remember we did a pod just after he played, and I'd captained him kind of against the grain, and just it was incredibly frustrating to watch. He set a few people up and things. So yeah, I'm not worried as a Lukaku owner. But if I was a Ronaldo owner, would I go to Lukaku? I'm not sure at the moment. I might downgrade and invest elsewhere. But Chelsea's fixtures now, I mean, Lukaku was known as a bit of a flat track bully before. Who's he got next? You can never see the badge you're looking for, can you, with these lists? Mm-hmm. Right, so Brentford, Norwich, Newcastle. I mean,
Burnley.
I mean, if Lukaku doesn't bang in, at least half of these, then what's happened there? We've misjudged him massively, haven't we? And I would be very worried as an owner.
Yeah, I mean, this run that we've got now is double up, triple up Chelsea land.
Yeah. You've done that exact thing on your wild card, haven't you?
If anything, I came about a week early, really, for the Chelsea party, knowing that a lot of people were saying wait because it was after the international break, and great decision. But I had too many fires to put out. So, but yeah, for Chelsea and hopefully for Lukaku, it's looking like this run could be sweet.
Good. Right. We've talked about Lukaku more than any of the other players in this XG table, and he's not even in it. So let's move on. The final one, it's no surprise. It's Mo Salah. Josh, we say every week he's a no-brainer for your team, but I'll go a step further now. Is he a no-brainer to just captain every week, regardless?
I mean, he's got to stop scoring at some point. I would say at the moment, on the form that he's on, you've got to back him. And I made the mistake this week of picking Lukaku, thinking that the fixture was what you need to focus on, as did many, and we've been burnt. And I think that what it shows is Mo is fixture proof. He's in insane form. Just back him. Lesson learned. Just captain him.
Well, you say lesson learned. In 2 weeks' time, Liverpool have United and Chelsea have Norwich at home. Liverpool away at United. will the lesson still be learned by then? Or will you be going back to Big Rom?
I'd like to see how Rom does in the next game. He needs to kind of find his
Good
Vavavoom,
answer. Good
but I
answer.
think if there's one, we said it in our fixture predictions, and we look at whoever, insert team here playing Norwich is a captaincy shout. So, and then you pick one of the, as you said, biggest threats against weaker teams.
I know. But now I'm thinking, just look at who Salah's playing and Captain Salah. It should be a rule that trumps that rule. I mean, that goal he scored against City this week, like he made them look like, he made them look like Norwich, the way he just completely bamboozled them all. Incredible. And the assist, it was an amazing goal of the season for sure. I can't see another goal beating that. And it's against City, the most avoidable team to captain people against. And he made them look silly. I don't know. Yeah. I'm thinking now, just do it. And it's one less worry. Just captain Salah every week. And over the course of the games, you'll be up more than you are down. I don't know. Maybe that's mental. We all like to think we want to set and forget captain, don't we? But when the opportunity I can't think of a better time than now for there have ever been one than Salah being one. But there's one staring us at the face now, and we're like, well, look, there's Norwich and there's like we don't actually want one, do we? Because we like to, as humans, we like to think we know better, and our pick is better, don't we? But I'm just thinking maybe we just do it, set and forget it. I don't know. Yeah. I think if you do it, you'll end up with a lot of points over the season, put it that way.
And by going against, you could lose double because the percentage of managers captaining Salah throughout game weeks now is going to be huge.
Yeah, but again, I wonder if it will be even our memories are so short, aren't they? In 2 weeks' time, that Norwich-Chelsea game is. And it would just be interesting to see how many remember this week and be like, no, remember when Salah had City and Lukaku had whoever. I don't know. Time will tell. But I think it's a very viable strategy, until there's an injury or till Christmas or whatever, to just leave it on Salah and think about other things.
I like it. So that's XG done. Now on to the assisters. We've got 5 assisters, Jack. Who is at the 5th slot?
Yeah, we've got 5 assisters, and I think for the first time, they're all different players to the attackers. So that's nice. So we'll have some different chats. In the 5th spot, Joss, is cult hero Saint Maximan with 1.71 over the last 5. How do you feel about him?
He's defying the fact that you shouldn't be looking at any Newcastle players as good FPL assets. But my God, is he effective? I think the annoying thing in trying to pick him is he seems slightly too expensive and he's playing for a team that aren't great. You're just kind of waiting. We're thinking, are we asking too much of this guy? Can he carry the other 10 Newcastle players on his shoulders all season long and continue to perform? Is he going to stop, Jack?
I think he'll keep going until he gets injured. He hasn't had a double-digit haul. So he's 6'2", 6'5", 8'2". So very respectable. When you watch him, it's exactly like you said. He's so much better than the rest of his team. It's almost laughable. It does remind me of Grealish when Villa were really bad and he was our only good player. They all get the ball to him, pray he comes up with something good. He lays it on a plate for them all the time and they mess it up, and he must be really frustrated. And I do think he's destined for bigger things. But the big one for me with him is he's a striker. Why is he a striker in this game? He's been a midfielder the years gone by. He's no more a striker than Salah, than Mane, than Son, Greenwood. It's laughable that he's a striker and those players aren't. So I think that really goes against his appeal, that he takes up one of those slots and he gets fewer points for a goal. Yeah, that's how I feel about him. So
I guess we're going to summarize buy, sell, hold for ASM. What would you do? We don't have him, so would you buy him?
I wouldn't buy him. I'd hold him. I think if you, again, a bit like the Mane thing, if you've managed to get him to fit into your team, he's not an emergency sell by any means. Newcastle are never going to have good fixtures because they're so bad. So it's not like you're waiting for a spell there. Yeah, and I think the super hot striker fever has cooled a bit now. There was a time a few weeks ago, wasn't there, where there were just too many good striking options. And now all of a sudden Bamford and DCL are injured. Ings isn't doing it, etc., etc. So I think he's safe for a spot in your team. And, it'll make Newcastle games exciting to watch. Okay. So there's a bonus. Good. Would you agree? Sorry, I've just kind of said our opinion there, but would you agree with that?
I would agree entirely. So I'm glad you said
Good.
everything you said. I've
Oh,
got
good.
nothing to add.
Always
There you go.
nice. Josh, fourth in the XA, Bruno Fernandes.
Can I cut what we said about Ronaldo and paste it in here?
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste. Sorry, yeah, copy and paste. With the addition that I think actually, if you're going to pick a United asset, you're a die-hard United fan, you think, I have to have one United player on my team. I'd say he's probably the one.
Wow, that's a big change from weeks gone by.
But that is in the context of me saying if you had to have one asset, and I would not recommend having any assets for them at the moment. But I think he's probably the creative spark in that team. Everything goes through him, which we know. This is nothing new. And because of that, I think he's always going to have that ceiling of potential high points when they batter teams. Because I think there will be points in this season where they do batter teams because that's all they've got this year. Their attack, we know they're going to attack. They're going to go outright. They seem to be only on the front foot, not really looking what's behind them. And eventually that is going to click again, and that means points, FPL points. So I think he's probably the best bet for them at the moment because he keeps them ticking over. But bottom line, I still wouldn't pick anyone from United at the moment. And even if you had him, it's an arguable it's a push to maybe a hold because you've got so many other good assets. But what are you thinking? Do you want anyone from United? Do you want him?
No, I don't really. I agree with you. I don't want him. I definitely don't want United assets. Yeah, he's still the main man, isn't he? He's more the main man than I think a lot of us anticipated he would be when Ronaldo came in. He's still their talisman, I would say. I mean, he's in the XA as a reason. He's in this top five for XA. He's still pulling the strings. Yeah, I still think Mane's a better pick than him at that price. And there are cheaper mids that are better picks even than him, I think, now with the fixtures they have. So yeah, I agree. And the penalty doubt thrown in there now. We don't know who'll take the next one. So I think he will still, but it's definitely not a certainty. So yeah, get off him. It's a sell for me.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's Bruno. See you later, Bruno. We'll catch up after your bad set of fixtures, Bruno. All right, mate?
Exactly.
Call you then. Call you in 5 weeks. Surprisingly, Josh, number 3, we've got Mason Mount in this spot for the last 5 games. Under the radar a bit?
Massively. I mean, he didn't even start the last game. So you'd say, he only had 22 minutes, I think, in the last game. I'll just bring up the stats now, looking at how he performed in terms of his statistics for that game, 0.8 XA. So you can see even in 22 minutes, the impact that he had. And obviously the subs that they made, Tuchel made at the end, they really kind of pushed on and kicked on then. So that's when they went for the result really. But
why is he getting benched? Do we know?
Well, that was going to be my point exactly. They seem to have so many options in midfield now. Like, what's going to happen to his minutes? We thought he was nailed at the beginning, and suddenly there's not a bit, there's a lot of rotation in there. And we haven't seen Sol since his debut.
Disastrous debut.
Disastrous. Maybe he needs a bit more time to bed in, but when he gets thrown in as well, I know he's not maybe one of the attacking midfielders, but he's going to take up one of those central midfield spots. So I just think they're the new City, maybe.
Took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I think they are. Still very impressive. If he does nail down a spot, I mean, they are really impressive. He's played. Everyone else in the top 5 here has played 450 minutes. He's on 333, and he's third with 2.36. He is so good at playing that role, I think, of just in that little pocket there, just playing it out to the wide or just popping a little ball in. Yeah, I think he is really good. He's just not getting the minutes. Don't buy him, I think we're saying, aren't we?
The risk is too high. I mean, in
risk
the last
is too high.
Last 4 game weeks, 0 minutes against Villa, 45 against Spurs, 0 minutes against City, 25 against Southampton.
That's not nice, is it?
That's not good viewing. 70 minutes in the last 4 games. As an FPL manager, no thank you.
Yeah, 7.4 mil. There's a plethora of other cheaper options, I'm afraid. Sorry, Mason. Second, Josh, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Well, can we say anything without really knowing when he's going to be back? We get nothing from the FPL website. I haven't seen anything.
Ignore that. But can we just say as a little public service announcement, never go by the percentage chance of playing icon on the FPL site. I hear people like, it's one of those at work, isn't it? You chat to people at work, like, well, I got Trent in. They said 75% chance of playing. Like, that is complete baloney, that percentage chance. They know less than we know. So don't go by that. Sorry, Josh. Rant
Good.
over. Continue.
Good. But what I would say is there's probably going to be people listening that either have him or are looking to get him back, or potentially get him back in, and say, well, what do I do here, Jack and Josh? What am I doing? Game week 8, Liverpool's game against Watford away. Would love to have him. 16th of October. What do I do? So I guess what I'd say there is wait for your bloody conference. You're impatient.
So it's a wait and see. Yeah, you obviously hadn't brought. I've kept him in my team despite the injury. I even started him on the 1% chance it was all a lie. But yeah, he's that good. He is the Salah of the defense for me. When he's fit, you have to have him in. You obviously wildcarded, didn't go for him. Would you, if it was declared fully fit now, Josh, before game week 8, would you get him in as a priority?
Well, I can't get to him in one transfer.
He's that, of course you can't know, that expensive.
So I probably wouldn't be, just because the other defenders that I've got probably 5, you'd say, good defenders if you include Alonso, who we're not really sure about, that could do a job instead of him. So I couldn't bring him in one. If I could, and it was announced that he was fit, then yes, I think I would bring him in for that game. Especially for the fact that, if it was in replacement of someone like Alonso, who's now got a doubt about their minutes, or even a Cancelo who's been doing very well, but you do worry about their potential minutes going forward, despite playing 90 every minute so far. It's a matter of time before Pep wields his Pep.
Can happen to any of them. Torres, memories of Torres.
Torres,
memories of him. Yeah, I think Trent is. I'm really glad I've kept him, actually. A bit like when Antonio got the ban, I didn't sell him. I was glad to have held on. I will just wait. It'll be bated breath for the conferences next week. But yeah, I think it's a hold if you've got him now, and maybe a buy if you don't have him, if he's fit. I think you have to get him at some point if he's playing. He's a fear player, isn't he? If you don't have him, he's the behind the sofa player that you don't want to see playing. Number 1 spot, retains his title from last week. Really impressive. Ivan Toney. Josh, you're an owner. You're a proud owner.
Very proud. Very proud of my boy, Ivan. I think Brentford, bottom line, Brentford look amazing. They look great.
They do.
I would say it looks like he is going to be the best attacking asset. But I think what we're finding out is he's not the only great asset from that team. If you're only going to have one, he's still great, priced amazingly well. After this game week 8, they've got Chelsea at home. Not the best fixture, obviously, but maybe they're fixture proof after last week. We don't know.
Yeah.
After that, they've got some great fixtures, so maybe you want to double up. But what I would say is I think he's the best Brentford asset, and Brentford look very good. So yeah, I like him very, very much. But what about you, Jack? Are you a Tony fan?
Yeah, I'm a big Tony fan. I wish I had him. I think he's class. And yeah, like you say, Brent, he's not just a good player in a bad team. He's a good player in a good team. They've proven us all wrong, Brentford. We looked at these string of fixtures and said avoid, didn't we? But they've won 2, going on 3 against Chelsea. Wouldn't surprise me if they got some in there, the way they play. But yeah, they were surprisingly brilliant against West Ham and got the win. I mean, any team that 1-1, a newly promoted team away and 1-1, that puts every single man in the box in the 93rd minute for a corner needs to be raising AFPL eyebrows, because it's amazing, their belief, their self-belief in their system that's just unwavering. And I think it's something we haven't seen before in the Prem, this kind of attitude and this kind of reliance on out-of-the-box tactics. Yeah, it's really exciting. So I think Tony's great, and Buemo is also a great asset to look for. But speaking about Tony purely, I think people will be rewarded for their patience with him, because he hasn't scored every week. So this week again played really well and blanked. And I think a lot of casuals will just see that and sell him. But I think if you keep him, he'll pay dividends later.
Best in his price point, would you say?
No doubt. Oh, it's no doubt. For strikers, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Again, that's a mark against ASM, because if between Maximin and Tony, I think Tony's the one. Well done for having him. Proud of you.
Way, do love him. So yeah, that's the XG and XA. I think we covered everything nicely there. What do you think about a little break, Jack?
I'd love a little break, Josh. Good work.
Perfect. We'll be back in a second.